Today, I want to talk to you about why your digital marketing isn't working and the two simple things it takes to fix it. I think for a long time, digital marketing has become this very complex thing, right? It feels overwhelming. You've got everybody doing everything. Your head is spinning. Uh, you probably can relate when I say there's so many types of digital marketing, social media and search, and not just search, but SEO versus paid search. And there's, all types of digital media advertising you can do, whether it's through Google's network, like YouTube and video advertising, or through banner ads all over the internet. You've got blogs and you've got podcasts and all these things you're trying to piece together. And ultimately, it feels a little overwhelming. And on top of that, it is progressively getting worse because every other day there's a new platform that pops up, right? And I bet that you've got a good team, but it still feels overwhelming. Or maybe the team is just you, and so it definitely feels overwhelming. Well, what I'm hoping to do today is to really simplify what digital marketing was supposed to be in the first place. I think digital marketing has become this ad hoc thing, and it feels like it's all pieces and parts, and you got to figure out the perfect way to put the puzzle together. Ultimately, I want you to know that for digital marketing to work, it has to follow an intentional, repeatable process. And it is possible to have an intentional, repeatable process around all of the different parts and pieces that make up your digital marketing. It boils down to two things. For digital marketing to get done right, you only need two things in place. The first is that you have to define your perfect customer profiles. And the second is that you have to create a conversion funnel around those PCPs or perfect customer profiles. Essentially, if you know who you're selling to and you can work those people down a funnel, an intentional step-by-step way to get them to not feel bombarded or overwhelmed, you're going to have a more effective digital marketing process. You'll have a repeatable digital marketing process. And on top of that, you're going to get more sales and more customers, and they'll be happier for it. So these are the two ingredients. These are the only two ingredients that you need to make your digital marketing actually be repeatable and effective. So in our time together today, I want to walk you through what these are and what it takes to get these in place. Let's start with defining your perfect customer profiles. First of all, when I say perfect customer profiles, what do I mean? What do I mean by PCP? So you might have heard the phrase persona, or you might have heard buyer persona, or I think those are the most common ways people say this, or maybe even your customer avatar. That's the other way people might describe this. This is you taking all the people that have bought from you before, people that you aspire to sell to, and instead of putting them in wide categories like, males between the ages of 25 and 45 who are into, this kind of activity, whatever that is, and also live in this region. Instead of that general way of describing your audience, you bring it down to a point where you can identify that person as a person. You have a person that represents your different buyers. I'll tell you what I mean. I think in digital marketing, it's very easy to get caught up and we start to think about clicks and impressions and conversions without realizing that behind each of those clicks, every click that happened on your website, every download that happened on your app, every purchase that happened was a real person who had an emotional reaction that caused them to buy your product. So when I talk about PCPs and whittling it down from that broad categorized way of thinking about your audience, what I'm really talking about is getting to the person or the people that personify your broader audience. We have gotten to a place where anybody that comes to our website, anybody that interacts with any owned property of ours, whether that's our website, our app, something that we create for people to experience, whatever that is, we tend to bombard people with these action items. Click here, download this. Oh, you can't leave the page yet without doing this. And all of these things that can, for an individual, feel really overwhelming and really, to say it bluntly, it's creepy. And you wouldn't do it in the real world, right? If somebody walked into your business doors today, if you're open in your physical place, you would not immediately put every coupon in front of them. You would not immediately put every product you sell in front of them. You wouldn't do that. You would strike a conversation with them. What brings you here today? Oh, okay. And how come? What happened? What happened with your old vendor? What are you going to use that for? You'll ask them questions because they are humans. But for whatever reason, in the world of digital, we think everybody coming to our site has to buy that thing now. And the reality is, not everybody is ready to get married after the first date. And that's what we're putting out when we do these kinds of things, where we look at our numbers and we're saying to ourselves, why are only 1% of people buying from our site or converting? Why is it that we only have a 2% conversion rate? All of these things that we say to ourselves, because we expect what? 50% of people to buy the product, 100%? And we keep tweaking things to get more and more people to act right away when we ourselves don't behave like that. And the real world doesn't work that way either. So what we have to do is to create a conversion funnel for your business that's centered around not your ideal customer, but your perfect customers. That is how you avoid making these annoyances or these mistakes. I'm going to explain to you what a conversion funnel is. What I want you to know from this is that you need to create a process that has that person at the center. You need to create a process that has that person at the center, and you're considering that person's emotions. You're considering them as a real person. So here is how you should think about your PCPs. On the left-hand side, you see your PCP is designed to represent the wants and needs of your customer base. You're supposed to create a PCP for each segment of your customer base so that you can communicate better with them. So think about, your broad business. You might sell to individuals. You might sell to businesses. So you could create a persona or a perfect customer profile around the person that tends to buy at the consumer level, and then the person that tends to buy at the business level. Maybe the business person, does she or he tend to be male or female? So give them a gender, give them an age. She's a 45-year-old purchaser from, a mid-sized tech company. Okay. What are her goals? What scares her about a purchase like this? She ultimately wants the best XYZ, whatever your product is, the category that it's in. But she's worried about what? Getting taken advantage of, overspending, disappointing her boss. What are the worries that she has around the purchase? And then what are the worries that those worries that she has about the purchase, well, how do they affect her? Like, why does she care about those? Could those cause her to, like I said, lose respect with her peers, or disappoint her boss, or come off like she didn't know what she was doing? So what are the things that make her tick that will cause her to perhaps not purchase your product or to purchase a competitor's product? If you can understand that person based on their psychographics, not just their demographics, where they work, how old they are, but their psychographics, you can really tailor your messaging, like it says here, to better communicate with them. So you can have content that you have your salespeople say when you're talking to them that will reflect those questions. You'll pull those questions out of them. What about not just in the sales scenario, but what about your social media ads? You could actually have ads that speak to those needs, as opposed to ads that sell your product and say everything's 50% off. You don't lead with that. You lead with the emotions instead, because you know that you're reaching an individual. So when you have a PCP created, it just changes how you communicate. So your question is like, how do I create a PCP? How do I find those answers, right? And some of you may already have personas or perfect customer profiles created already. For those of you who don't, a great starting point is to look at the customer base that you have today. Who has purchased from you in the past? And start to put them all out there, and then start looking at some of the ways to group them based on their purchase behaviors. So in the past, however long you've been in business, or if you want to take a certain time frame, that's okay too. Who has bought from us, and how can I group these people into groups that resemble each other based on demographics, psychographics, and geography. And the fourth thing is behaviors. So psychographics would be things like their values, what they care about, what keeps them up at night, their personality. Demographics are things like, how old they are, where they live, what kinds of jobs they have. Behaviors are things around the buyer, like their purchase behaviors, where and when they tend to purchase, and also their usage behaviors. Once they buy the product, do they tend to use it right away? Do they tend to, is it something that they use seasonally? Just understanding how different audiences use your product and how different audiences purchase your product and when they purchase. You can group people that way. And then the fourth one was geography. So are there any differences between people on the East Coast versus the West Coast versus, the South, etc.? That's generally a good starting point to start to group people. And then once you've got the groups, then you can start to assign personas to each group. And you can say, okay, for the group that, tends to buy based on, they tend to buy around the holidays. I'm just making stuff up. They tend to what? You can define a person like, okay, I'm going to give that person a name. This is Mary. Mary buys around the holidays. This is how old she is. This is what her goals are. These are the things that really reflect why she makes those types of buying decisions. And you can end up very quickly with at least 4 personas that you can start with. Now I've got a persona creation sheet, very simplified, that I will gladly hand to anyone that wants an easy way to create a persona. So if you're interested in getting that sheet that will help you create a persona, I've got a visitor. Just email me and I'll get it to you. All right. So perfect customer profiles are key. Now, the next thing are, creating that conversion funnel around those PCPs. That's really, really important. So let's talk about how you do that. Now, a conversion funnel is also called a sales funnel. It's a model for how to build relationships progressively with people that take those people from complete strangers to advocates for your brand or product. So when you have a conversion funnel in place, what you really have is a model for actually creating a relationship with people. And a lot of people that don't buy from you or haven't bought from you yet, they're strangers to you, right? They're strangers to you. They don't know you yet. So of course they haven't bought from you yet. And to get those people from strangers to advocates takes hard work. But I'm going to show you the funnel, what that should look like, okay? Because when you understand the funnel and you understand how to think about how people make decisions, it doesn't feel so hard. It actually becomes pretty second nature over time. Let me tell you about the funnel. So on the left-hand side is the funnel, okay? We've got the no laners, the slow laners, the fast laners, the tribers, and then the advocates, okay? Think of it this way. Of the people that you want to purchase from you, there are a bunch of people that fall in the no laner category. And you can see that's the widest category of people. So the widest category of people, these are the folks that are aware of their issue. They know that they need to solve a problem. They might need to purchase, purchase a particular product that you offer, but they are just unaware of the solutions that are available. They know their issue, but they don't know what solutions are available to solve that problem that they have. So I like to call these people no laners. These people need to become aware of the solutions, but they're not right now. Then you've got the slow laners. These folks are aware of the solutions. They know what can fix the problem, and they're just trying to decide who to get that solution from. So they're in that space where they're vetting competitors. They've reached a point where they're like, okay, I need a way to entertain a group. I need a way to, I'm going to think of an example. Let's think of an example that would resonate with everyone. So, some people are out there. I worked with a podiatrist recently, and for her, the no laners were people that are sort of, there's something that they're noticed with their foot, right? Podiatry is all about, helping people with their feet, right? But they're sort of Googling things like, what is that thing? Or, why am I seeing that behavior, right? They're kind of searching around the thing. They don't quite know what the problem is with the thing they're seeing with their foot, right? And then they become aware that actually, I hate that I just picked a foot as an example, but now I got to go with it. So, so then they start Googling and they realize that, they've got, I don't know, a callus. Let's go with that. And now they know what it is. Now they're like, okay, who can remove this for me? And now they're Googling around for podiatrists near them, right? So think about this in your own industry and for your own products, how this might fit. So now they're aware, now they're searching around the solution. They realize that they have opportunities or different partners to help them with their solution. Fast laners are aware now of your specific solution, but they need the final push. So now they've actually gone to your website. They've recognized that you're a podiatrist that offers that, or you're a service provider that offers whatever that solution is. And they need the final push to actually purchase from you, right? They're aware of you, but they've come to your site. They just haven't taken action. So you need those people to purchase from you. Then you've got the tribers. Once somebody buys from you, I call them tribers. They're bought from you, but they have not repurchased. So you need those people to do what? To repurchase. And then you've got the advocates. These are folks that have now, this is like your ideal state. People that keep coming back to you. They're the folks that tell everybody about you. They're your loyal customers. This is the funnel. This is the conversion funnel that you want to work people down. You want to get somebody from a no laner to an advocate. The problem is we think everybody should be an advocate or at least should be a triber the first time they interact with us. We put coupons in front of them to buy now. We put 50% off, whatever it is. We're putting the same language in front of anybody that falls into any of these groups, and that is not how it works. So what you need to know is that at the no laner level, what you're trying to do is to build awareness. You want them to become aware of your solutions that you provide. At the slow laner level, what you're trying to do is to create a lead. You actually want to capture them as a lead. You want to get their email address. At the fast laner level, you want them to purchase. And at the triber level, you want them to repurchase. For those of you who are listening to this, who are sort of marketing people, you've done marketing your whole lives, or you are the marketing person. Think of this as top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and retention and advocates. Okay, that might resonate with you. It's the same idea. You've got people at the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. That would be your purchasers or your fast laners. And then your retention folks, people you want to retain, are your tribers. And then down below are the folks that you want to become evangelists or advocates. The same idea. Here's the thing. This is the crux of it. If you're busy doing something else, come and pay attention to this part. This is very important. So I've taken your funnel, your conversion funnel, and I've placed it in the middle here. And what I want you to know is that on the left-hand side where you see sources of new traffic, all the different digital channels that you are engaged in today, whether that is SEO or paid advertising or social media or referrals, or you're doing direct word of mouth or going one-on-one direct with people, whatever you're doing to get new traffic, you're driving those people into all these different channels, all these different stages, rather. So you need to reach new people through all of these tactics. It's not like, oh, social media is just for fast laners. Oh, social media is just for awareness. It doesn't work that way. It's The content and the message that you put within those tactics that changes, but the tactics or the channels don't change. So you need to do SEO for everybody in this funnel. You need to do paid advertising for everybody in this funnel. But what you say to them is what changes. And that is why you need the right-hand side, which is sources of return traffic. You see on the left-hand side where it says paid advertising, it says prospecting. So anytime that you're trying to reach new people, you are using messages around new messages to help them discover you, messages about your brand, right? That's the type of paid advertising that you would do on the left-hand side, but you see on the right-hand side, paid advertising retargeting. So here, you recognize that people that have been to your site already, whether they entered as a slow laner or a no laner or fast, whatever it is, if they didn't work their way down the funnel, as long as they didn't go down. So if somebody came in as a no laner and did not become a lead, you need to retarget that person through paid advertising. You know what I'm saying? So some of you are familiar with retargeting, and some of you may not be. But anytime that you're buying ads, those platforms that you buy ads from, whether that's Facebook or Google or whoever, they give you a pixel. It's a piece of code that you put on your website. And that allows those platforms to know who has come to your website and is now back on the platform again, so that they can serve those people a retargeting ad, an ad that recognizes that that person has already experienced you. So what that means is that as long as you've got a pixel on your site for retargeting, and you got that from those different advertising platforms, you can serve a different message to folks that have returned to the platform after coming to your site, which would be a completely different message from someone that's been just a prospecting, somebody that never encountered you and saw your ad and then came to the site for the first time. So as long as somebody is not going down the funnel, if they come through a source of new traffic, they hit the awareness stage and they do not become a lead, immediately you start advertising to them with retargeting. Messages about, if they read a blog post, or if they did something that's high, that top level people will do, people at the top of the funnel will do, like reading how-to content or watching videos. Those folks, you want to retarget them with something that's a similar type of content. You don't want to retarget them with a sale content. They're not there. So you want to retarget them with some based on what they played with or looked at when they came to your site. You serve them something at that high level, equivalent level, right? And the same thing with the lead. So somebody came to your site, they went down to the lead stage, but they didn't buy. So a lead is somebody that would fill out a form, maybe get an email, put in their email address for some sort of checklist or something from you that they find valuable. They did that, but they didn't purchase. Well, you're going to retarget that person as well. But on top of that, here's where email comes in so handy, because now as a lead, guess what you have? Their email address. So if you don't have one already, you should have some sort of email sequence that you build, where as soon as somebody becomes a lead on your website, you give them whatever that deliverable was that they signed up for. So they wanted a checklist for the top 10 ways to do XYZ. Send that to them right away, or give it to them right away on the site. Then the next day, there should be some sort of email that goes out. Then 2 days later, whatever the cadence is, there should be another email. Then the next day after that, there should be something else. You should have a sequence built on the back end with your email marketing tool that nurtures that person back to purchase. Your whole goal of collecting their email is to get them to purchase. So you're building the anticipation day after day, sequence after sequence, in order to get them to eventually purchase. So anytime somebody comes through and does not do that next action, you send them right back through with new messaging based on where they are. So now let me walk you through, for each stage, what is the ideal content type that works, so that you know when you go to retarget the person or the persona, exactly what that person will likely respond to. Remember I said that you're creating this funnel. And as you're creating this funnel, you've got to center it around your perfect customer profiles, your PCPs. So it's very possible that you're going to create maybe 4 different conversion funnels like this. And for each one, for each PCP, you put their picture at the top. This is Mary. Mary's that B2B buyer. So for her, the content I'm going to create is going to be focused on B2B, and I'm going to retarget her with B2B content. So you might end up, when you go to refine this for yourself, the actual assets that you deliver to each person might cause you to actually create 4 of these, or maybe more than 4, maybe just 2 of these, whatever, however many personas or PCPs you have should equal how many of these you create. And let me walk you through the assets or the deliverables that work for each stage, so you can start to think about what might work for each PCP at each stage. So for somebody who's unaware of you and you're trying to build awareness, your goal is to get more new traffic. That's always your goal, whether you're using SEO or paid advertising or whatever was on that left-hand side there, social media, direct. You're trying to get traffic. Your goal is traffic, 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 traffic. So the best media for that is blog posts, video content, and audio content. These folks are unaware. So you've got to answer a lot of how-to questions, why questions. These folks, they don't know. I use that foot example, right? They don't know what it is, and position it for your industry and for your company. What are the questions people have before they know that they have that problem? What are the questions they have before they know who to look for? What are the how-to questions people have before they ever buy your product? A lot of this can be fueled by your fears that you pull out of your PCPs when you're trying to define what keeps the person up at night, what are their goals. That's why that exercise is so important, because it helps you come up with tons of blog post content, tons of video content, tons of podcast content. If you're into podcasting, this is a great way to just reach a really wide audience and just get tons of traffic at the top of the funnel. At the slow laner level, your goal is to get more return traffic and more leads. Your entire goals are more returning people and more leads. Get them back in, get them back in, get them back in, so that they will fill out that form. Get them back in so that they will sign up for that checklist. You want to capture that email address eventually. So you got to get them in. So how do you reach those folks? How do you get that email address? How do you turn them into a lead? Think about how you react when a company is trying to get your email address. Do you put a fake one in? What would cause you to put a real one in? You got to offer value. You've got to offer value, something that they actually want, something that actually solves a problem, something that they truly would care about. And this, again, needs to be informed by your PCP. That's why it's important to define those people at the personal level, not just their demographics. So if you have defined that person and you know what keeps them up at night, you know what worries them about this decision of buying this product, whether your product is a product where you have to get a whole lot of buy-in from multiple people, or whether it's a really quick turn product, whatever, or service, whatever it is, what can you offer them to help them make that decision and feel more confident about giving you their email address? What can you offer them? What's in their way from buying your product? So there's something called lead magnets, or sometimes called opt-ins. These are things that you can give them. Oftentimes these can be checklists. Checklists are helpful because you can literally say, oh, you're trying to redo your website. These are the 20 things to ask any website vendor before you use them. And you might, let's say you're a web development company, a checklist like that for somebody that you want to become a customer of yours, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I need that. You see how you kind of feel like it's steering them away, but at the end of the day, it's helping them make a decision because you're giving them the top 20 things to ask a vendor before they choose them. And they would want that information because you define that in the PCP, that's one of the things that keeps them up at night, is making the wrong decision or not knowing what to ask, or feeling like they're not technical enough to hire the right web company, right? As an example. So your checklist, or whatever you give away, is so critical. A checklist is a great one. Another thing that I've seen work really well are sometimes people give away like a video series, like 4 or 5 series of videos that show somebody how to do something. And they either give it to them right away, where after you get the email address, here's your login information to watch the 4 or 5 steps that it takes to fix XYZ or to get really good at XYZ skill, whatever it is. Or sometimes people actually email the videos. So every day the person gets a new video in the series. That's another way that works really well. The last one is a low ticket offer, also called a tripwire. So this is a lower priced item that you can offer people. It's not your big core product, but it's something that if you can get somebody to spend a couple of dollars on, you've now created a transactional relationship, because of course you're going to have their email address then. They just bought something from you. You always send an invoice or some kind of a receipt, right? So you'll have their email address from then. But is there a lower ticket offer that you could send someone that somebody could pay just a couple bucks for? Something you could even give away, but instead you want to charge just a couple dollars for, to get in exchange to get their email address. The thing is, the low ticket offer, here's the key. It has to be high value to them. It can't be some cheap gizmo that they wouldn't want. So oftentimes what I've seen work really well here is that you take something that in the world of digital products, it could be some sort of digital course, and it's high value, but you price it at like 29 bucks. And the perceived value is really high. It's like, 30 modules, it's got all the bells and whistles, it's got all the worksheets, but you're offering it for a really low price. So put that in the context of your business and think about something that is a perceived high value, and maybe not even just perceived, but actual high value to that customer, but you're offering it for a really low price and hoping that because of that they will be willing to transact with you. Studies have shown once somebody spends any amount of money with you, even if it's $1, they are way more likely to spend 10, 20, 30 times that amount with you, because now they've shared their bank account with you, right? They feel like they feel more comfortable spending more money with you than spending brand new money with somebody else. So low ticket offers tend to do really well. They're called tripwires because of the fact that they're high value but low ticket. So they trip someone, kind of it catches them, and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I think I'm gonna get that. And so this is not all about deceiving anybody. None of this that I'm talking about is all about deception. It's about understanding core human behaviors, putting yourself in their shoes, and thinking about what would make you buy, and offering true value. Fast laners. Okay, now at the fast laner level, now you've gotten the person's email address and you're trying to sell them the core product or service, right? That's what you're trying to sell them. At this point, you want them to buy that product that's listed on your website. You want them to call you and book that demo, whatever it is that's what you want them to actually buy at this stage. So your goals are more conversions and higher conversion value. You want to get more conversions and you want to get people to spend more money. So fast laners, at this point, you're sending them the email sequence for the ones that became leads. So they should convert at a higher rate than somebody just coming to your site who hasn't given you their email address, somebody at the no laner level. And on top of that, you are you've got your website set up, and the people that are coming in are already at this level. I think I already just said that, because these are people that have been warmed up to you. So they're already in your email list, and so they should be able to convert. So more conversions, higher conversion value. You're trying to get them to buy your core product or service at this point. These people are the ones that if you remarketed to, you could show them some price-oriented messaging. You could show them some urgency-oriented messaging, like the clock's ticking, those kinds of things. You never want to try to reach your no laners or your slow laners with core product type messaging. It won't resonate. So whether you decide to do SEO, SEM, or paid search, social media, whatever it is, like I said, the tactics don't change, but the assets do. Talk about your tribers. Now they've bought from you. What do you want from them now? You want more repeat buyers. You want them to spend more money again. You want higher customer lifetime value. So you want them to buy again because that's what you want. You want higher lifetime value, right? Not just a one-time sale, but a multiple sale. You also want to reduce churn and reduce returns. So what are some of the best media to use to get people to repurchase? Having events. It builds thought leadership. It makes them think that you're an authority. You think about the folks that you've purchased from that are, out there all the time. They're doing big things. They're doing events. They're bringing other people in, like, this kind of event here. It helps you think about that company as somebody that you could partner with and have a long-term relationship with, because they are invested in bringing groups together to help advance the industry or to help advance the field. Subscriptions. So anytime that you have something that somebody can subscribe to, it can go to them all the time or every certain set period, that helps to create that return purchase. That's huge. So if you can think of a way to add a subscription model to your business, that goes a long way with creating tribers. And then just the general idea of having follow-up products or services. Some businesses just don't have the next product available. There's nothing to sell that person again. So I'm challenging you to think about something that could be used as a way to get them to buy the next thing, especially if you've sold them that, you kind of sold them the thing, it's done. Well, but what else? What could be a complementary product or an upsell product or a cross-sell product as well that would support that core product that they purchased? So thinking about what that could be, and then creating emails and creating retargeting ads for those folks, that's a way to get them to repurchase. And ultimately, as you're doing all of this, and you probably already know this, what I'm about to tell you, you see, I've just put everything together and I've made a big circle around it, and I've said measure, test, optimize. It goes without saying that as you're doing all of this, you should be looking at your numbers. As you get more people to fill out your lead forms or download your checklist, whatever it is, maybe people aren't biting. So maybe have an alternate lead form that you try next month, right? So it's about experimentation and tweaking this so that you can improve. And that's something probably you're already doing. I'm just encouraging you to keep doing that, because the funnel will only get better. And it's in tweaking this that you actually end up with the advocates. Because for the triber to keep repurchasing and repurchasing and get to a point where they're telling their friends and they can't stop buzzing about you, you just got to get really good at this. And you got to create a lot of these tribers. And the only way that you can do that is by testing, measuring, and optimizing. So that is what it takes. It takes those two things. Your definition of your perfect customer profile, doing the hard work. And again, email me if you want the worksheet on how to create a PCP the right way. And then the second part is understanding that you've got a sales funnel, and that it's not a game of which kind of marketing tactic is best for what stage. They're all equally fine. It's your messaging that needs to change. So it's about getting those retargeting pixels on your site and sitting there and doing the good work of saying, okay, PCP number one coming to our site as a no-laner. I'm going to give them a blog post, and the blog post is going to address their 3 biggest fears. Great. All right, PCP number one again. Now, what if they become, now they're slow laners, right? What am I going to offer them to get their email address? What is it that's in their way? What are the questions they have before they make a decision? And what can I put in front of them as a checklist, as a series of videos, whatever, to get them to give me their email address? And put yourself, the most important thing, between those two buckets that I've talked about, defining your persona and creating your conversion funnel. The most important thing is where I started, which is you've got to see people. It's not about clicks and impressions and conversions only. Every one of those clicks is a person. You're a person when you visit whatever website you go to today, whatever website you looked at on your phone while I was talking today. You're a person. And the person behind the scenes that's looking at the data needs to recognize that you're a person, and they need to put you in a bucket Are you a no laner? Are you a slow laner? Based on what you looked at, and what is it that I can do to help you make the next best decision? Not for me. Of course, it's going to benefit my business if you buy from me, but really, what I'm doing is to help you meet your needs and help you meet your wants. So think about your customers as real people, and I promise you, your digital marketing will be 10 times better and 10 times more effective than it may be today. I encourage you to get in touch with me. Let's stay in touch with each other. I hope that this has been helpful, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Let's talk.
All right, so we actually have a few questions sitting here already, so I'll throw some of those out. So the first one is asking about best practices for posting with each stage, like whether you should do daily or some weekly, like how each stage would kind of go for their, I guess, volume of posts.
So I'll answer this in two ways. If it's a question about sort of not so much frequency, but volume of people, let's start with volume and then I'll talk about frequency. So you're going to have considerably more people at the no later level. That's why my triangle is inverted, because you always have way more people that are unaware of you but have a problem, way more people that are considering competitors, and so they're slow laners. You always are dealing with that upside down triangle. So you have way more opportunity. That's why I say traffic, 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 because you want to get as many people aware of you as possible so you can work them down. Now, in terms of frequency and how often you should be reaching these folks, at the end of the day, what you've created is sort of like an individualized plan if you think about it, because the only people that would see your retargeted content or even your emails, the stuff that's on the right hand side, are the folks that have tripped that or triggered something that says that they should be retargeted. So you know what I'm saying? So really, you're not, it's not a game of like overwhelming people or getting so many people. You're actually going to be smarter with your spend, because the folks that you're going to retarget at all these levels are folks that have encountered you at some level or that you're retargeting specifically. So I hope I'm sort of answering the question. You want to sort of waterfall your awareness people. You want to get as many no laners as possible. That's where I would spend money on advertising. I'd spend money on all the different channels to try to get as much top of funnel people as possible. But then understand that you're going to be more effective and more your dollars are going to be more efficiently spent as well for anybody below the no laners, because that's repeat traffic or that's retargeted traffic.
Then we had someone that was recommending or asking if you could recommend a paid marketing monthly budget.
Okay, I cannot hear you.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I can see what's on the screen. Can you recommend a paid marketing monthly budget? I hate to say it, but it depends. Isn't that the worst answer? It depends, but the truth is that you can get away with a lot. Advertising nowadays is pretty cheap when it comes to those social platforms, and as well as Google. So what I tend to do when it comes to sort of planning for a budget for marketing, all of these platforms have tools that allow you to sort of budget, for lack of a better word. So you can go into the Facebook Ads Manager tool or the Google Keyword Planner tool if you're planning to do any sort of paid search work with Google. And these are free tools. And you can go into them and you can kind of set your audience. You can say, okay, I'm going to target people that live in these places. And you can even, because you have your personas, you're going to be able to put in some other more detailed information, like where they work and things like that. So you set your targeting and you set your time frame, and the platforms will recommend a budget for you, and you can actually say, okay, based on this, I want to spend more or I want to spend less, and it'll sort of adjust for you. So the good news is the platforms have figured out a way to help you work out your budget. So that's become really, really helpful. So you don't have to think that you have to come at it from scratch. When I do a lot of search work, whether it's paid search or organic search. And we use the Google Keyword Planner tool, and we know, okay, volume of people searching around this topic is going to increase during these months because there's seasonality to the business, for example. And Google will tell us how many people they expect that we can reach. And once you start running the campaign, it's always a little bit off, to be very honest with you. All these platforms are just a little bit off. But at least for initial budgeting purposes, you can get some ideas from the platforms directly, because you know what? They have the audiences there. So it makes sense that they should be able to tell you how many people you can reach and how much it would cost for you to reach those audiences. One more thing, Rita, it also depends on the types of conversions that you're tracking with these platforms. So all these platforms have conversions and costs around, do you just want people to see the ad, which would be an impression-based conversion? Do you want people to click on the ads, which would be a click-based conversion? Do you want people to actually fill out a form right there on the platform? So there are all these different types of conversions, and the pricing does change based on the types of conversions that you're expecting the folks to take. And so that's also a factor. So when you go to build your budget in these platforms, just keep that in mind, that you can move levers around and have a generally good idea of what to start with. So it depends, but you do have some control. Mary, if we know that, for example, our rental customers may have a purchase journey with a deadline, i.e. our child's party is August 8th, so we need to make our decisions on who to rent a tent to by early July. How do we account or adjust for that?
I don't know if you can hear me now, but she was asking about adjusting for it with the
So I
funnel.
think with this kind of thing, I mean, this is sort of granular. This is all, like, at the individual level, right? So this person needs to make this decision by this date. So I think one of the things to do, first of all, the only reason that you would know what their cutoff date is if you had asked them at some point. So they should have filled out some form or something. So hopefully you've got their email address at this point. And so you should be able to adapt. I mean, I think email is ideal for this kind of personalized experience or personalized question. I mean, this is down to the individual and a certain date that they need to have a certain kit by. So I think this is more like a one-on-one thing, where an email going out to that person is probably the best way to account for them, as opposed to trying to do too much with the retargeting work. I would lean more heavily on the email side, even personalized emails, like somebody actually emailing the person, not putting them in a nurture stream. I mean, at this point, this person is like a customer or very close to becoming a customer. So I would just take it right down to the personal level, have somebody talk to them, have somebody call them. And I don't know that I would do a ton of actual digital marketing at this stage. I would just do that one-on-one personal selling to try to understand how to meet their needs. That's how I would approach this kind of question, because it is so granular and it is so specific to that individual. I hope that helps, Colleen. I know you have a great SEO training. Do you also offer social media marketing training? At this point, I don't have anything created that's ready to go for social media. But if I get enough people interested, maybe I can see people type like I in here or number one or something in here, so I can know how much interest there is, and I'll think about it. I teach social media marketing. For those who don't know on this call, I'm a college professor. And prior to becoming a college professor, I worked in the industry for many years for an agency, and I still do my own consulting work, which is why I'm here. And so I'm always eager to hear what the needs are that people have. So I teach social media to MBAs and college students, but happy to help you if you need it. You have my email address, guys. So reach out if you have any more questions. I'm looking for any more questions that might be here. I don't see any more. Colleen, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Rita's Party Rentals. I called you Rita before, but it says Rita's Party Rentals. So maybe it's not Rita, or maybe it is Rita. But thank you so much for having me. It's okay. I know we lost the ability to communicate, but hey, we figured it out. Thank you for putting the questions up on the screen. That worked well. And I'm happy to connect with anyone who reaches out to me. I thank you so much for connecting and for coming here, for taking the time. And I hope you all have a great day and that you just have absolute killer sales for your products and services by leveraging what we talked about today. Take care of yourselves. Bye now.